I have a logbook. Every night shift ranger keeps one. You write down what you see, what you hear, what time you checked each zone, whether anything was out of place. Standard procedure. Nobody reads them except your supervisor, and even he only skims the first page. I have filled 47 logbooks in 3 years. Every single one has the same entry for campsite 9. Occupied. No registered camper. Checked at 2 a.m. Vacated by morning. No trace left behind. 47 logbooks. Over 1,000 nights. Same campsite. Same time. Same result. My supervisor told me to stop logging it 8 months ago. He said, and I am quoting him directly, "Some things in this park are not our jurisdiction." I asked him whose jurisdiction they were. He did not answer. He has not made eye contact with me since. My name is James Whitfield. I have worked the night shift at Shenandoah National Park for 3 years. I know every sound this forest makes. I know which animals move at which hours. I know the difference between a branch falling and something stepping on a branch deliberately. Campsite 9 is not an animal. I know this because last Thursday it left something for me. Something that had my name on it. 3 years ago, my first week on night shift, I did what every new ranger does. I walked every zone. Checked every campsite. Logged everything. Campsite 9 was at the end of Zone 4. Half a mile off the main trail. Accessible but isolated. The kind of spot serious hikers book months in advance because it sits beside a creek with no light pollution and perfect silence. It was not booked that night. When I reached it at 2 a.m., my flashlight caught the fire pit first. Warm ash. Not cold ash. Not day-old ash. Warm ash that meant a fire had been burning within the last 2 hours. I checked the registration system on my radio. No booking. No day permit. No record of anyone being assigned to that site in the last 72 hours. I logged it as an unauthorized camper who had left before I arrived and went back to my patrol. The next night the ash was warm again. And the night after that. By the end of my first month I had logged it 26 times. Always warm ash. Never a camper. Never footprints leaving the site. Never any food waste, tent marks, or gear left behind. Just warm ash. And the feeling that whatever had been sitting beside that fire had left exactly 30 minutes before I arrived. Every single night. Like it knew my schedule. 6 months in it changed. I arrived at campsite 9 at 2 a.m. as usual. The ash was warm as usual. But this time there was something else. A single stone placed in the center of the fire pit. Flat. Smooth. Perfectly round. Balanced upright on its edge in a way that should not have been physically possible without support. I stared at it for a long time. Then I took a photograph, logged it, and left. The next night the stone was gone. A different stone was there. Same shape. Same size. Same impossible upright balance. This happened every night for 3 weeks. Different stone each time. Same placement. Same balance. Like something was showing me it could do it again and again and wanted me to know that. On the 22nd night there was no stone. There was a photograph. Printed on photographic paper. Left in the center of the fire pit without a single burn mark on it. It showed campsite 9 from above. It showed me standing there the previous night. Looking at the stone. I radioed my supervisor immediately. He drove out personally, which he had never done before in 3 years. He looked at the photograph for a long time without speaking. Then he put it in his jacket pocket. I asked him what it meant. He said, "It means it has decided you are the one it wants to communicate with." I asked him what it was. He got in his truck and drove away. That was the last conversation we had that lasted more than 30 seconds. A ranger I used to work with, a man named Aaron Cross who filed 5 cases that were deleted by the Park Service, once told me that some things in national forests are not recent. Not new. Not passing through. Resident, he called them. He said the ones that have been there longest develop patterns. Routines. Preferences. And the most dangerous thing you can do is let one develop a preference for you specifically. I thought about that a lot after the photograph. I started varying my patrol times. Some nights I reached campsite 9 at 1 a.m. Some nights 3 a.m. Some nights I skipped it entirely and watched from the tree line with binoculars from a distance. It did not matter. When I arrived the ash was always warm. When I watched from the tree line the site was always empty but the ash was always smoking like something had been there seconds before. It was not adjusting to my schedule. It always knew exactly when I was coming regardless of when I came. On the night I watched from the tree line for 2 hours without approaching, something changed. The fire in the pit lit itself. No person. No lighter. No wind. A fire started in a cold pit from nothing and burned steadily for exactly 14 minutes. Then it went out. And from somewhere directly behind me, close enough that I felt the air move, something exhaled. I did not turn around. I walked back to my truck at a normal pace, got in, locked the door, and drove to the station. My logbook entry that night was 3 words. Do not approach. I arrived at campsite 9 last Thursday at 2 a.m. Warm ash as always. But beside the fire pit was a logbook. Identical to the ones I use. Same brand. Same size. Same green cover. I opened it. Every entry was written in my handwriting. Every patrol I had done for 3 years. Every time I had visited campsite 9. Every note I had logged. Copied perfectly in handwriting I could not distinguish from my own. The last entry was dated last Thursday. The night I was holding the logbook reading it. It read, he finally picked it up. 3 years was the right amount of time to wait. I looked up from the logbook. The fire pit was cold for the first time in 3 years. The creek had gone completely silent. And on the other side of the fire pit, sitting on the ground in the darkness where the firelight would have reached if the fire had been burning, was an impression in the soil. The shape of something that had been sitting there for a very long time. Still warm. I submitted my resignation the next morning. My supervisor accepted it without a single question. He did not ask why. Did not ask me to reconsider. Just signed the form and slid it back across the desk without looking up. Like he had been waiting for it. I still have the logbook. I have read it 4 times trying to find something written in a hand that is not mine. A single letter formed differently. A word I would not have chosen. It is perfect. Every word exactly as I would have written it. Which means one of 2 things. Either it has been watching me so closely for 3 years that it knows me better than I know myself. Or it has been practicing. Campsite 9 is still there. Still on the booking system. Still available to reserve. I would not. If you have ever felt watched in a national park, if something felt wrong about a campsite, tell me exactly what happened in the comments below. Subscribe to the Midnight Files.